Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're at episode 863. This is being recorded on April 8, 2026. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I am Jeremy Hellstrom.
It is only 137 more episodes till 1,000. And I'm Josh Walrath.
Josh can math. I'm Brett Van Smernberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
And we did it. We came back after what some considered a joke of an episode. April 1st, nobody could tell if we were being serious. All of the stories could have been fake. We may have been fooled by at least one headline, but we're back.
I wasn't even here.
Probably.
That was Ryan Trout.
Also true. Or not.
Yeah, it's all subject to interpretation. It's all a gray area. So we want to thank our patrons, as always, at the top of the show. And Brett, please be their ambassador, as always.
You know, I will, and thank you for that lovely introduction, because I know that this next person's alias or their chosen name needs no introduction, and that would be, of course, the inimicable Fraud Fishy Hates Everything. That is a wonderful, wonderful alias. I really like that one. There's Jared B. They need additional legroom. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about there. But did I mention Fraud Fishy Hates Everything? Just want to make sure everybody caught that one. And finally, Michael Murray. And we're going to have a special message from Josh. And I don't know if you're going to work this in or not, but Michael Murray there's no relation to Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah, I wasn't a One Tree Hill guy. So Michael Murray, I mean, you've got to be proud of your name, because there are some very, 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 very fashionable people out there whose first name and last name are both comprised of M's, like Marseille Marceau and Michelle Moynihan and Michael Murray.
Marshall Mathers.
Marshall Mathers, yeah, that's another one. So, I mean, you got to be happy, because I'm getting a spam call from the national immunity people. So happy
Chad
non-birthday,
Murray.
Michael Murray. I hope you're enjoying your time and your few minutes of fame, which are richly deserved by someone who has a first and last name that starts with M. Do you guys remember that letter M
Michael
skit?
Bolton?
No, not Michael Bolton, MB.
Oh, yeah.
Letter M. You don't? Wow, try looking that thing up. It's a little interesting. Anyway, edgy, if you will.
I was thinking about the Michael Bolton mistaken identity from Office Space. Or is it? Yeah, it's Office Space.
Yeah.
Who's got
In
a case
relation
of
to Michael
Mondays.
Bolton.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite song is?
I think that actor
So-
was playing a John C. McGinley type.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I've got a friend named Matthew Bolton who gets that joke a lot.
I just saw a little short from him where he said they flew him in for just a couple of days, and he shot all those scenes like back to back to back over a couple of days, and he just kept sinking further and further into the Bob character till half the stuff he was doing was just ad-libbing. So he was just kind of just rolling with it. The whole "what would you say you do here" wasn't in the script. Fantastic.
It's my favorite actor.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, we want to
Me.
thank you for that wonderful personalized message. And now it's time to personalize your story, your lunch story today. Please. Food with Josh.
So apparently, Born in a Barn, which has been closed for the last several weeks, decided they had to do another day of maintenance. And not only that, but they announced on Facebook today that they're no longer carrying chicken wings. No, they're going to focus on the rest of their menu because, well, actually, I understand where they're coming from, because there are so many chicken wing restaurants out there and demand is so high, it's hard to keep them affordable and in stock. So they're getting out of wings, so they're going to focus on burgers and sides, but they're going to add breakfasts. Who knew? Not me.
Breakfast
but,
burgers.
Hey, you know what? If you can't deal with the current climate, you got to evolve. And apparently they're evolving. So after several weeks of maintenance and being closed today, I went to get one of the new Whoppers. I mean, it's kind of the same as the old Whopper, except a little bit better. I mean, the bun's a little bit better. It's a little bit more brioche-esque, if you will. It's still flame broiled, flame grilled, whatever. Either way, same thing. It's tasty. They put a few more veggies on there. The meat is still okay. And it wasn't a horrendous lunch. And I'm still full because it was a double. It's a double Whopper. Not impossible.
Oh.
No. But plenty of meat, if you know what I mean.
Sebastian, can you put that photo back up?
Yeah.
I happen to notice that the wrapper says burger lame.
You're right.
And yeah, I'm sorry,
You get an
Josh.
F.
Yeah, burger lame.
Burger name.
Sebastian, in the
But look
bottom
at how
left-hand
perfect
corner,
that bun is.
There's a
The
QR
zesty.
code.
We're going to talk about the zesty sauce.
I was going to talk about the QR code in the other corner.
Oh yeah, but
How was
first we have
yours?
to- Josh, did you dip your fries in the zesty sauce?
I sure did. I
Oh,
sure
good.
did. It's
See,
their
he knows how to
version of
Burger
a
King.
signature sauce.
Yes.
Yeah. So, free advertising for Burger King. So send those checks or food coupons or maybe just best
Stale
wishes.
fries.
Josh discovered today that he is king with the new Whopper.
I sure am.
Available at Burger King now.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Can I stop talking now?
Please. No, you can't actually, because we are going to go into news and you will be expected to speak at least 1/4 of the time. Top story tonight, AMD. They previously announced the Ryzen 9 9950X3D-D2 on the 27th of March, and now here we are on April 8th, and we have pricing and availability. Just today, they sent out the press release to media. It wasn't really much of a press release. It was just an email that cited a tweet. We have it, the date, the price, April 22, $899 US.
Johnny Shee is the proudest man in the world because everybody is copying him. $899. Isn't that incredible? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's as far as I can do Johnny Shee. He's a unique individual. That's all I can say.
Let's look at this tweet. The world's first dual 3D V-Cache technology desktop processor, available April 22, $899. Workstation class performance meets the AM5 platform. No new motherboard or memory required. It goes on, but there seems to be, I think it was Jeremy who pointed this out initially. This is geared more towards the professional and not the desktop user. Look at that packaging. Mm-hmm. That's not their usual color scheme.
That's to make it stand out, which is nice because, everyone wants everything to look the same nowadays, which makes it impossible to figure out what the hell you're buying unless you double check the final serial number on it. But yeah, you're going to see that this is sort of the return of the Threadripper. It's going to give you a tiny little bit more gaming performance, but it's going to be a lot better in productivity. But also a lot more expensive than one of the new cores. Just by a bit.
Does Intel have anything around this price that would be a compelling alternative?
Xeon?
Even at $900, do they have a Xeon that could come close to this performance level?
No, I thought you just meant the price, not the performance.
Oh, yeah,
price.
okay, yeah.
I thought their i9 stuff in non-gaming things performs very well against AMD's, even though it's 16 full cores, 32 threads. Some of their higher end stuff does pretty well in that space, at least. Not gaming.
No, they're single thread. Yeah.
Let me see. I know I did some benchmarks when the 9950 X3D first came out, and just to look at the usual like Blender, Cinebench, a Core Ultra 9 285K was second in everything. So there's just more threads with the Ryzen 9s than even on a Core
Well,
Ultra
you
9.
gotta squint.
I mean, it's not a big difference. And the Core Ultra 9 has higher single-threaded performance in some of these benchmarks like Cinebench, but it was just a more compelling part overall than the Intel product.
And probably didn't pull as much power.
No, it did not.
No.
This will make Kent happy because the 14th gen, even the 13th gen, they're still an important part of Intel's plan in 2026. And with just copious amounts of these processors still available, the supply is not going anywhere. I'm going to quote Robert Halleck here, who was talking to Club 386. Raptor Lake is a big part of our strategy. I want to be very clear about that. It's still really, really good, even with multiple generations of hardware from other vendors coming after it, so it's not going anywhere. I want people to understand that Raptor Lake will continue to be abundantly available. You've also seen some new motherboard announcements that support both DDR4 and 5 on Raptor Lake as kind of like a bridge between worlds for people, end quote. So there you have it. And here is a screenshot from a day or two ago of the current picture, what you could expect to pay for one of these brand new on newegg.com. They're still available. Some of the prices are a little higher than I remember. Like a 13900 KS is $700 now.
That's a little pricey. Wasn't that a $500 part back in the day?
Yeah.
It had dropped. Yeah, it was a lot less expensive. I bought a 12 or 1300 KS for like $300 on Amazon.
Wow.
But there was a time when these were getting dirt cheap and RAM was dirt cheap, and it's a different era.
Simpler times. Simpler times.
Yeah. Raptor Lake, it's here to stay. And Kent has been validated. He's like, I'm sticking to my guns. It's better. I'm not giving in to pressure.
He's like the lighthouse captain. No, you move.
He says peer pressure. Well, if any of you ever become my peer, then maybe I'll be pressured by you.
Ooh. You know, oddly enough, I have used that line before.
Okay. When you're at my level, then we'll talk. Now, someone added to this story that Intel isn't just focused on previous generation processors. They're also focused on their foundry. And they're reportedly in talks with Google and Amazon over advanced packaging, and major customers could take advantage of EMIB-T later this year. What is EMIB-T?
It's the newest car. She's got a new record coming out.
Oh, okay.
That's not what that is.
I can't remember what EMIB stands for, but it's a packaging technology that uses silicon bridges embedded in a organic substrate, so you don't need an entire interposer to connect chips. No, you just have these little EMIB strips of silicon. It's less expensive overall. I mean, you still have to have good packaging engineers, but it's a reasonable alternative to COWOS from TSMC. And if you're paying attention to the CPU, GPU, AI market, packaging is where it's at. Everybody's got tiles for all the things. And so you've got to have a really good strategy, and you've got to have good factories, and you've got to have good technology that does not cost an arm and a leg to be able to inexpensively and in a fast way connect all of these tiles together into a coherent chip. And EMIB-T is I think it's one of the latest versions of that. EMIB's been around for almost a decade, I think, that they announced it. And it's in a variety of parts. But yeah, supposedly it's less expensive and less silicon intensive than a interposer or the COWOS stuff that the TSMC does. So packaging is everything going from here on out. Multi-chip, all the things.
And this is their U.S. foundry, right?
I believe so. Well, I mean, it's a packaging plant. It's only going to be a packaging plant, but unless you're dealing with the Tesla mega fab, super fab, whatever they call it, where they have all of that stuff in one giant building or one campus, that stuff kind of makes sense. So it could be another building off of one of their fabs, and all it does is do packaging, because TSMC right now is absolutely sold out in all of their packaging, and they're trying to bring in more people to offer contract type packaging for them. I mean, it's nuts right now. There's just not enough out there.
Quoting further down in this particular article, there's a quote where they posted $4.5 billion in revenue for 2025, but unfortunately 2.5 billion of operating loss. Unfortunately, and the revenue for the full year of 307 million, mostly from those U.S. government contracts. Remember when U.S. government kind of jumped in and said, "We'll save you with contracts." This is potentially with the deal between was Amazon and Google is really noteworthy, because it could finally allow them to stand on their own revenue without being subsidized by the U.S. government anymore, which would be great. I hope it succeeds.
We wait with bated breath.
We do.
From Tech Power Up, Steam will estimate your game FPS, so expected performance, before you buy it. And this obviously is being tied back to that plea they had for that anonymous FPS data collection. Mm-hmm. So with that data pool, as they're saying here in this article, they can then estimate approximately
how much they can pull out of the Steam box so that it'll still be sort of affordable and still
No, that's not what this is for.
That's not bad though. I mean, when you run a 3D Mark benchmark, it'll look at like similar systems. Here's the expected performance. Here's what your performance was. You can see the deltas, figure out, if something is wrong with your system. But
yeah, that's actually a good rule. Yeah.
I like this idea. A good use of data collection.
And AI.
Until it isn't.
Right. Okay. Memory prices. We haven't really talked about DDR5 yet. This podcast that affects everything in the industry. We will talk about it, I'm sure, because memory prices are out of control. And even though we saw a little bit of a regression, they're still way too high. So what do you do when memory's too expensive? Just use compression. What did we do when hard drives were too expensive? We just, zipped files.
Double space it.
Yeah, compressed entire drives.
Yeah, DOS 6.0.
So
don't worry, no performance impact. It's fine.
None.
Absolutely none whatsoever. NVIDIA neural texture compression. In this one instance here, it cut VRAM usage from 6.5 gigabytes to 970 megabytes. With virtually no difference in texture appearance, says this article also at Tech Power Up.
I'm sorry, this is all AI slop. It's AI compression slop.
Compression is it using AI?
Yeah.
So there's the compressed, there's the uncompressed.
Yeah.
What if it's lost?
If you can't tell the difference, you're blind.
Looks good to me.
I mean, if you're using Unreal 1 level textures, then
I'm not seeing a difference in this one static image here, Josh.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Single stimulus
that's been turned into a JPEG and then further compressed by a server somewhere.
Yeah, I see the blocking algorithms. Get it? It's a stone house. That was a joke.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Wait, there's more. Hold on.
Comedy.
More.
Downscaled textures. Full resolution textures.
Can you taste the difference?
Yeah, but the megabyte readout is the same.
I don't know. There's a giant line in the middle of it. So
hold on.
Looks terrible.
See all the loss here?
Oh.
And then here you still have the tablecloth still has a texture to the fabric.
Look at the wicker round. There's so much smoothing going on. Smoothing.
Mm-hmm. So with this technology,
wicker smoothie
going down really low, like full resolution.
Texture?
Wait, where was the full resolution? hold on. Which one has the blurry? So downscaling textures. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay, so downscaling the textures to fit 970 looks bad, but using the compressed neuro whatever.
We're using
textures,
artifacting for good.
then you still have the detail preserved. Look, honestly,
the errors add detail.
Oh, God,
Yes.
okay. This could be like MP3 for video. I mean, not that we don't already have codecs, but you know what I'm saying. Like psychoacoustic masking. Psychoacoustics, something that was studied for a long time. We figured out, hey, the human ear will hear this frequency over that frequency. Let's just throw this information away and take a wave file that's like 40 megabytes and turn it into a 3 megabyte MP3 that a lot of people say, I can't tell the difference. It sounds just fine. So do that with video now. And
quantized away into the noise. Yeah. Quantized away into the noise. Nobody could hear it.
It just tells you how cheap the human experience is.
Yeah.
You can cut all that out and you don't know a difference. What the hell's wrong with me?
I know a difference.
Why don't I just eat lard on stale toast and just be happy instead of having a full burger?
I mean, didn't you just eat lard on stale?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, wait, you said the bun was better.
But he was king. Yeah. He was king while he did it.
Okay. You know what? The cardboard crown made all the difference in the world.
Oh, you took the cardboard crown. That's nice.
It does.
He should have worn it for the podcast. Would have been great.
That would have been
I would have liked to have seen that.
Who says I'm not?
Yeah. Hey, audio podcast listeners. I don't know why I say audio listeners. Of course, you're an audio listener if you're. Anyway, let's move on to the next news story. PC makers report surging prices across different components. Increasing costs are going beyond memory chip and processors. Now affect PCBs, plastic materials, and more. Get ready. I think Jeremy can explain to us that laptop computers this year cost a wee bit more than they did last year.
That's a wee bit of a stretch. That's doesn't even come close to at least double what they cost last year, if not more.
Ouch.
It's insanity. Part of it is, of course, greed. Hey, we can explain a price increase just like oil companies can. Things happened, and suddenly this stuff we've had in stock for a year, that's suddenly significantly more valuable because people are paying more for the new stuff. But that is the problem, is that it is the change in the market because of what's happening with RAM prices and memory prices and built out AI factories does mean that, yeah, there's a demand on PCBs and there is a demand on just about everything you can imagine. And unfortunately, this includes plastic, which means that shell around the laptop that is the exact same as last year actually will cost you more, along with the RAM, along with everything to do with that laptop. I mean, the desktops aren't going to see quite the same spike, but they're still going to go up. But yeah, no, laptop prices have become obscene. And I might buy an Apple since the first time since the Apple IIe. Because I kind of like that Neo. Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Oddly enough, prices really didn't explode in the Apple line. Not yet.
No, the Neo is the Neo. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they didn't start off with amazing specs to begin with, but they use their memory compression. True. They can deal with 8 gigs. Yep. But Jeremy, I hope that you said that the plastic shell was affecting the price. So clearly, get something without a shell, get something without a screen, and then there'll be no price premium to pay, right? Like
no, see, you'd think that would be the case.
Oh,
but
yeah,
the Raspberry Pi are jumping up.
Okay.
And that also, the SD card has also gone up in price, by the way. Sorry about that. It's just everything.
Some models are up $25 to $150.
$150.
The new Raspberry Pi 4 3 gig is offered at $83.75 as a lower cost option. I remember when the lower cost ones were like $40 or less.
Yeah, $39. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
You can't even buy a Raspberry Pi.
I mean,
the expected price.
Oh, no, you can stop it there because a lot of people did buy as many pies as they could because they were semi-affordable and they knew that they were going to get less affordable. And so now even pie stocks are down. And I have a feeling this is also because, again, if you're a memory vendor raping and pillaging customers at this point, are you going to sell to a little guy like Raspberry Pi, or are you just going to wait? Amazon will pay me for memory today that I'm not even going to have to make for 5 years from now? Yeah, okay, I'm going to go with that one. Yeah, welcome to 2026. Still winning.
Now, Jeremy, considering a Mac is very interesting. We'll talk about that shortly. But speaking of Apple and the M1 Max, I think Brett and I talked about this a week or two ago. They don't take expansion cards. The Mac Pro is dead. No. So now you've got to do all external devices. Then that was fine because M1 didn't really like external. Well, wait a minute. Apple has approved drivers that let AMD and NVIDIA eGPUs run on a Mac. It's software designed for AI though. So you can't game on it yet.
Yes, but it's ever so closer to that, to being able to game on it. So starts out with AI, maybe gaming tomorrow. But it is very interesting that they're allowing this. And there's certain companies out there that'll sell you, of course, a cluster of 2, 3, or 4 various AMD or NVIDIA GPU sets that you can plug into your Mac, which has been surprisingly popular in the sort of homebrew AI space, even the semi-professional AI space, that they just need some amount of AI acceleration. There's been some benchmarks run on clusters of Macs that look pretty impressive for the cost versus performance ratio, and being able to add in GPUs as an additional accelerator for AI computation, it starts to look somewhat reasonable.
You know what else starts to look reasonable? When you're using a work laptop and it constantly does a forced reboot right when you wanted to use it, needed to use it. Yeah. And you're just sitting there waiting on updates. A Mac. Some businesses, I know my wife's business offers, I think there's some extra steps involved, but you can use a Mac if you really want to instead of one of their corporate Windows laptops. Apple is up to 11% of enterprise market share in the US. I think that Windows 11 has been a Vista-esque misstep. Windows 8-esque misstep.
Yes,
for Microsoft.
You're maligning Vista there. That's a Windows 8-esque.
The market is seeing that they have a choice, and a lot of web app type installations or usage has proven that. And a Mac is a choice people can make. Mac, Linux, when they don't want to choose Windows.
Yeah, and one of the big arguments was, Macs are significantly more expensive. Well, guess what?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Man, this is like Apple II era, because the Macintosh is when it started to get really expensive, like an elite $2,500 computer with no memory and one floppy drive.
But it was all in one, and it was amazing.
I did not know it was this high. Enterprise is 11, but overall 16% market share. Mac.
Actually, I didn't know it was 15.7%.
Now we know why Microsoft is like, hey, we'll turn off some of those AI features and we won't do those forced updates as much. We heard you. No. You saw the biggest
that's not what they heard.
Share in decades.
Yeah.
That's
I'd be curious to see the John Petty graph, because I bet you that's a big spike over the last 18 months or so.
And I didn't know Tim had it in him. Like they're being really aggressive right now.
As Apple's holding the pricing line on some of these components, they must have bought huge stakes in delivery years ago on some of the stuff in order to continue to hold the line on pricing.
They spec'd it in a way that it's something not many people are asking for, right? It's got a different timing or a different something.
Well, when Apple comes to you with a contract and says, we would like you to supply 3 years of this part, this is what we expect the price to be. You're like, sure, I can do that. Maybe the margins are a little tighter. However, I'm in a large ecosystem for many, many years.
Yeah, and you're locked in.
I'm not going to have to switch out the standards next year. It's going to be the same as last year and the year before.
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense, Josh.
There's better economy for the supplier as time goes on because they get better at it. The part gets less expensive to produce.
There's a bit of a lead time on these too. If I just do completely standard, no additional
you're
configuration.
Looking at 2 to 3 weeks delivery.
Yeah. May 1st.
Yeah. You thought they're selling even more than they thought they would, and they're having some delivery delays.
11%. I think they're selling more than they were expecting.
If you have an older Kindle from before 2013, Amazon's just pulling support. You can still read the books that are on them, of course, but you can't download any new content from the Kindle store after that.
These might be Kindle 1s. I don't know what came out in 2013, but yeah.
Those are probably second or third gen by then, right?
If you still enjoy it, well, I'm reading the article here. If you still enjoy your first gen Kindle, there's bad news. They're pulling support. See, I don't know which generation.
When did the Kindle come out? I thought it was
obviously like, at least the first gen.
Early 2000. Let's see.
It was shortly after I joined PCPer because we went to CES and Ryan came with the first one, and I remember he went into the bathroom with it, and it's like, well, this is going to be a long time before we see Ryan again.
2007.
And he didn't go home with that Kindle either. He actually lost 2 or 3 of the things over the.
It's been 18 years of the Kindle.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's pretty long support for an electronic device.
So,
let's be honest.
So 2013, you're all the way up into the 5th gen
Paperwhite era. Yeah.
Jeez.
But come on, if the battery hasn't died on it at this point, you don't want to change.
The batteries don't. That's the thing.
They don't.
It's that free scale.
Yeah.
It's
They're
that free scale.
Infrequently on when you're looking at your page.
No, they
it's
just
off.
constantly just slowly discharge over a month. And then you recharge it. Yeah. Yeah.
But the lifetime on them is amazing.
Yeah, I think it's been 10 years since I got my wife her original Kindle, if not a little bit longer. And it's gotten updates.
Guess what? Amazon doesn't like you anymore.
I have one. I enjoy it. It's a good reader.
I went Kobo because they were Canadian, but they're not anymore, so I might go Amazon.
Still not.
I feel with readers
it lasts forever.
I feel with readers and my wife, it's kind of like Sebastian talks about his wife and watching things vertically on her phone. And I've gotten a few different readers for my wife, including one of the Paperwhite readers, and yet still I find her reading on her phone like this. I'm not kidding. That's
a larger phone.
That's not an exaggeration.
I don't know what it is. Go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know what it is. If it's a psychological thing, but I don't ever see her pinch to zoom, ever. It's whatever 6-point font renders on the page, that's what she's reading. And it just has to get closer to the face. It's like, you could just zoom in with your finger and thumb. But no.
All I do is when I come home, the wife's on the couch and on the Facebook short videos, just
endless.
It's like, why? Don't do anything else with your life. You only have so many hours in a lifetime. Why are you looking at the endless stream of 30-second videos on Facebook?
Doom scrolling, I believe they call it.
Yes. It's called doom scrolling for a reason.
And then I sit in front of my computer for like 12 hours straight in between my job, and then
get away.
Complain about my wife.
Totally different thing. Not related at all. Totally different.
The Artemis II astronauts are having issues with Outlook almost immediately. And they were also just playing on iPhones too, apparently, from the clips that I saw.
Yes, they were. But no, don't launch 2 Outlook instances on the same device. It will get mad, and it will get mad enough that it will decide that it doesn't want to make the proper connection again until it decides you're allowed again. It's a thing. It's a known thing. And that as soon as I heard this story, I laughed so hard because I knew exactly what they had done.
Well, I wanted
One
to take
person had
the
tried to
whole
launch
angle.
Outlook, and then the other person did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I bet I wanted to take the angle of we wouldn't build, a freaking rocket ship with anything less than the best technology available, right? Am I right? I mean, that's
What, they were supposed to use proton mail?
Well,
No,
instead you end
see,
up
the
with
problem was-
Microsoft Office 365, and then I'm like, well, what happened?
359.
The best
the problem.
technology available by the lowest bidder. That's the point. The best
That's the guy.
technology
That's-
available from the lowest bidder.
That's true. Yeah.
So
I saw that
the
movie as
real
well.
problem. Am I muted? No.
No,
Nope.
good.
You're back.
Okay. The problem was that Microsoft did not enable the S5 license, the space license for their Entra and
God.
MS365. So
Oh,
they were only terrestrial E5 and they needed to be at S5. So once you pass the
S5.
60-mile, atmosphere, then you need to buy the more
The
expensive
new license.
S5 license.
the orbital version.
What's a
Yes.
universal?
Now,
license
thankfully, they
cost?
also bought the M5 license when they bought the S5, so it did work when they were even further away.
Apple's not even on M5
I thought
yet, are
that
they?
when
Oh,
they
no,
got
Thank
a
you for
certain
giving him a
distance
great
from-
idea, Josh. We're going to see this happen.
Yeah, I thought
Sorry, which
when they
side
got
of the
a
moon
certain,
were you on?
Yeah, I thought when they got close to the moon, they were going to have to use the L5 license for lunar.
I was
Or
going to
the
go
M5.
there, but you beat me to it. Good job.
I wanted to
I'm
make
sorry,
the
you didn't
M5
get the-
reference for our British fans, but
Yeah,
L5
you
works.
didn't get you need the orbital license. You're going to need the lunar license on that. Did you get the lunar unlimited pack? Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, you want to park in a Lagrange orbit? Okay, well,
Hmm.
we're going to have to talk about that.
How many orbits of the planet did you make? Because we have sort of a scaling license on that.
You know what? I think this would be a good time to pause to hear from our podcast sponsor this week.
I thought AI would help me write faster or answer emails more quickly. What I didn't expect was how much quieter my workday would feel. AI started helping me sort things out, summarizing notes, classifying the requests, flagging what actually mattered. That was really useful, but on its own, it was still just insights. The real shift came when those decisions stopped living only in my head. That's where Zapier comes in. Zapier is how you can actually bring AI into your work and not just talk about it. You can use AI exactly where it makes sense inside your real actual workflows. And Zapier handles everything that comes next. Nothing happens just once. A form gets filled out, a payment comes in, code gets pushed. It doesn't stop there. Zapier makes it fan out automatically. Tasks get created, updates go out, systems stay in sync. We use our favorite models to help decide what something is, summarize it, route it, prioritize it. Zapier orchestrates those decisions across all the tools we already use. It's not a complex setup. It's just connections that work. The biggest difference? Now I don't have to remember to do things anymore. If something needs to happen, it's already wired up. My brain is just for decisions, not follow-ups. And for a tiny team, that changes everything. We move faster, drop nothing, and stay focused while the work keeps flowing in the background. Less AI hype, more results. That's Zapier, the system between everything. Teams have already automated over 300 million AI tasks using Zapier. Are you ready to join them? Get started for free by visiting zapier.com/PCPerspective. That's zapier.com/PCPerspective.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
Our first story comes from Tom's Hardware. Russian state hackers are hijacking TP-Link and MikroTik routers to steal Outlook credentials.
Yeah, right now it's being actively exploited. It's not just Outlook credentials. It's a lot of password and authentication tokens. Could be your Amazon ones. Could be your DNS traffic. So they're rerouting DNS traffic. They're capturing
that's a
a
nasty
tremendous number of routers. It is, because then stuff that you're typing in that's a legit end website, they're rerouting your traffic to theirs. whether that's Outlook or any number of other popular websites, Google, even Amazon, stuff like that.
They're even going after IMAP Outlook, which Microsoft has pretty much deprecated, but some people are still using on legacy systems. So this is either a mission critical system you can't change, or someone who just doesn't know that they need to. And sorry, all of your tokens are now belong to us.
Yep. This is, like I said, Russian state actors, App 28, also known by, I think you've talked about this before, Fancy Bear and Sofacey and Forest Blizzard, etc. And this is a very wide net they're casting to grab. So it's not looking for certain other state actors. They're just grabbing anybody with any number of these TP-Link routers. So look this up if you've got a TP-Link or a MikroTik router, because there's a fairly sizable number of part numbers that are on the list.
But don't worry, you'll be able to continue to get security updates, right?
No, you won't. This is
oops.
No, we've covered the reasons behind that. Not only has TP-Link left some of these behind, what about MikroTik? I think they're a little bit better about that sort of thing. But the point is that with the new rules from the FCC, probably not going to happen.
No,
it's a sad story. Look it up if you've got a TP-Link. Probably just not use it. The MikroTik one is probably salvageable though.
Moving on. Dumb routers are the best, or dumb switches are the best.
Sticking with Security Week, critical vulnerability in Claude code emerges days after source leak.
Well, you shouldn't use Claude to write Claude's source code. Now, should you?
We just did the story last week about the leak of the Claude front end source code, and I think we left it hanging with, I think, the obvious question. I think a lot of security minded folks saw this with like, oh, well, when they leak the source code, the first thing that's going to happen, well, maybe the second thing that's going to happen is
I looked into this and I love it, because this is actually my neighborhood. This was a student at the UBC, University of British Columbia.
Oh,
it took 2 university students, 10 OpenClaws, and a MacBook Pro a couple of hours to recreate the source code and share it with the world.
Yeah.
And now it's on the internet and it will be there. The Streisand effect, it will be there forever.
True.
They're going to have to rewrite it from scratch or just pretend this never happened. And I'm not taking bets on which one they'll do because we know.
It wasn't them that found the issue, though. It was a company called, I think,
they just showed that, yes, this is how stupidly easy it is.
The way that the exploit works is that there was a rule inside the parsing logic that disallowed so many multiple prompts that sort of fed back into each other. They sort of froze that at 50, but there's a way that you can inject those commands, get a whole bunch of subroutines going, and inject a 51st command, and that goes around the check for the deny logic, and that would potentially allow that 51st command to execute without the typical deny, like don't run wget or curl. Yeah. So it's a way to subvert the parser to get around the deny allow logic, or the where it's supposed to be asking.
Yeah.
The really nasty
nothing telling you it happened.
Well, the way that it works is the 51st logic falls into the 51st request falls into a state where it's supposed to prompt the user for access. People who've used AIs typically see yes, no, trust or don't trust, allow this action, which is a solid thing, but the bad actor can sort of wrap this in something that looks benign with the prompt, and that would typically, these prompts would come up during a build process that a developer's working with, and they're just probably going to blow through that with just allow that. And what it wrote on the screen is not at all what you just allowed, and that is the problem. So that's how subversive this is.
But I mean, with the source code on the net, there are going to be so many other things that have been found. But yeah, this is it's elegant in the way that it is just the 51st command, where it's supposed to be a hey, this is crazy. We need the user to verify this is cool.
Yes, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's.
But you can write it as if it's doing something completely different,
exactly.
and that's where it's really, really nasty.
Shall we talk about fiber optic cables?
We can. I got this from Mir off of the Discord. Sorry.
Yeah.
And fiber optics, you'd think, who uses those anymore? We don't. Everybody uses HDMI and ARC for their audio and their home theater. No, it's because of 10 gigabit networking enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
And
really, I thought it was because of Ukrainian drones that they used all fiber optics.
That's just to decorate the landscape with.
Yes.
Plus, fiber, I guess, internet too is a thing.
Yeah. So fiber optic is used quite a lot. Fiber to the home, for instance, fiber within industry or enterprise, lots and lots of uses. One of the reasons it's very useful is because it's not tappable, right? No RF, just light beams. Who could tap into that? Except there's a problem.
Are you saying you wouldn't tap that?
That's not at all what I said.
No, I would never admit to tapping that.
There is a technique that now turns live fiber optic cables into microphones. Apparently, sound waves can interact with the fiber optic lines and manipulate the light frequency and the light beams traversing back and forth on the line in such a way that they can be read at a distance and reinterpreted, and the actual sounds being made near the termination of the fiber optic line can be reconstructed.
Yeah. Somewhere around the 80
problem.
to 90% accuracy mark.
Yeah, and they can enhance that by sort of doing a wrap around another cable. And if you have physical access to one of the termination ends that's perhaps in a less secured area, you can enhance the pickup in that less secured area.
Yes.
That has a line that's being potentially routed into a far more secure area. This could be
and if you're using countermeasures, it has no effect whatsoever on this.
None.
It does not degrade what you'll be able to hear at all. So
obviously
they're
not using the Denon $10,000 audio optical cables that are immune to this.
Well, this is hilarious because they are talking about special polished fiber connectors that introduce reflections that can actually create dead zones. I haven't looked into it much because
Josh is onto something.
Posted it today.
We're going to have
about your safety and security. You need to spend $10,000 on an Ethernet cable. Sorry.
That is definitely true. But we're going to have to start wrapping the fiber lines in acoustic foam.
Yes. And I love they also suggest don't do any excess fiber slack. Just don't wrap up coils in the corner because fiber runs never have that ever at all.
Because do you know what a pain in the ass
to do a fiber join? Nobody
exactly. I've seen that.
Yeah,
you've got.
There's a reason they do it.
It's a gnomish wizard that has to come in with his little tiny little tools. Do something weird.
It's kind of cool because the guy who I last saw do a fiber optic connection with that little welding tool was this guy who moved from Czechoslovakia in the 80s to the US. And he was in his early 60s. And I said, what were you doing when you were 25? He's like, well, I was throwing Molotovs at Russian tanks. So, great. He was awesome dude and also very good at splicing optical cable.
Well, he learned to be careful as a kid because he's still here.
Yeah.
And if he had all his fingers, probably was capable.
He did.
Oh, yeah. No, the kids will lie to you. Oh, no, I tested it. All the fiber's good. Okay, why am I getting a quarter the speed I should? I tested it was all good. Okay, we're going to bring in someone to test it. Oh, well, maybe, thought so. Bead's not in the right spot, is it? And now they're spying on us through it.
Shall we move to gaming quick hits?
Let
All
us.
right.
Tomato
And this
and
story.
bacon.
Pickles,
Game
onion.
Pirates beat Denuvo with hypervisor bypasses and Erdetto, or however that's pronounced, promises countermeasure.
One of those rare stories that crosses the security and gaming boundaries, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious. And I think it's
So,
IR Dito or something like that they call
Yeah,
it. Denuvo.
IR Dito.
No, Denuvo, the thing we all hate because, I mean, it's not quite the Sony rootkit of the old days for anti-cheat, but it's invasive. It's really invasive. And, I mean, hey, the encryption on it is amazing, but what if I told you that you could just add in a little virtual interpreter, which hits ring -1 and just intercepts the commands that Denuvo is sending, or the queries that Denuvo is sending to the CPU to make sure that everything is on the up and up, and just tells it what it would want to hear.
So this
I'm not even sure what you
low-level
asked, but
device
yes.
driver,
Just yes. Everything's cool.
this low-level driver running at, as Jeremy's noted, at ring level -1, which is below the operating system. It's a very low-level virtual device driver, is essentially watching for the specific CPU set of calls that are coming in at the machine language level into the CPU, intercepting those, okay, and returning the expected
2 thumbs up.
Everything's
All's good.
Yep, all good. Even though the games are, of course, completely pirated. This is a very dangerous place to put code that you don't necessarily trust, because there's no limit to what the driver or code at ring -1 can do. Because you have to turn off certain aspects of things that naturally would protect your system in order to make this actually function.
Yes.
Not a great idea, but it does work.
The last time this happened was with a very popular antivirus company that ruined many a tech's life for a day and a half, 2 days.
That happened like almost a year ago, didn't it? Something like that.
About that, yeah, I guess. Was it? I can't
That was
tell
a big
anymore.
deal for like a couple of days.
Oh, it sucked, mate. It sucked. Everything's non-bootable. What do you mean everything?
Yeah,
everything is non-bootable. Okay, cool. Can we fix it remotely? Everything's non-bootable. Oh. I think Josh is probably crying in the corner right now because he went through it too.
Probably. Yeah, CloudStrike, as we talked.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to a story about Nintendo thinking they can patent battle systems in games? Something like...
well, no, but it's only if one sprite spawns another sprite which can move in a separate way that the other sprite can't move.
Isn't that what every summoned monster in Final Fantasy has always done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
They tried to leverage the power of Star Trek Technobabble to create a patent. And the first time it went through, most people were like, what the hell? Why would you let them patent a battle system like this? And the response was, oh, well, there's like 600 steps that they listed. And the lawyers got into it and said, yeah, but those 600 steps are describing stuff that's already existed. We don't care. We're patenting it. We're letting them patent it. It's fine. Then Pal World came around and a couple of others, and they had to revisit this patent. And guess what? Even with Nintendo's immense legal power, it's really big. They sue everything and everyone. And the ridiculous amount of steps that they tried to describe summoning a character to battle for you, it's hit the point where the lawyers are like, no, this is literally prior art. The fact that you were trying to describe the steps in ways that other prior patents didn't describe those steps doesn't mean it's unique. It just means you're describing something that already existed in a unique way, which doesn't work for a patent. Sorry. So we'll see. It hasn't been decided yet, but it's looking
it's just a preliminary. The fun part about this is the examiner's decisions.
Nintendo is a law firm pretending to be a game company.
That's true. The examiner's decision to re-examine this actually post threads from World of Warcraft wikis and Reddit threads. That's amongst some of the data that was used to bolster the re-examination and reopening this. Some of the other ones were pre-existing patents from Konami and Bandai. As well as, would you believe this, as well as all 26 claims made in the patent that's being reexamined were initially made by Nintendo themselves many years earlier. So they have their own pre-existing patent that shows what they're trying to patent.
Suing yourself.
This one doesn't.
Stop suing yourself.
Doesn't fly. And there's plenty of data out there that rightfully points out, you can't patent that.
No, it should never have gone through in the first place. It was
stop suing
like
yourself.
A bunch of people were just like the Joe Blows were like, no, this is stupid. And the legal eagles were also like, no, this is stupid. And the U.S. Patent Office is like, well, whatever, it's Nintendo. We don't want to annoy them. They get
because they have a lot of lawyers.
Yeah.
It's funny that you were almost joking about Nintendo being sort of a legal company. Nintendo of America always was. Howard Lincoln was the president of Nintendo, eventually the chairman, I think. Or no, it says chairman of the Seattle Mariners. But he was the president of Nintendo of America. He was originally their legal representative who had to fight against Universal Studios when they said, you can't have Donkey Kong because that's too close to King Kong. And there was this whole chain of title fight. And they were caught basically with their pants down about not actually possessing chain of title for something that was in the public domain. And Nintendo
that's how Mario was born.
Yeah, Nintendo was so pleased with his performance, and again in litigation with Tengen, which was making like non-official Nintendo cartridges back then. So they made him president. Like he became the head of Nintendo of America. So the roots of their business over here was litigation.
That's what they value.
Yes, it's who they are.
It's brought them a lot of money.
The original patent troll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Inspiring a whole generation.
Now, hold on a second. This next story, GeForce Now with an open source desktop client.
Well, not from NVIDIA.
No. GitHub, open source desktop client for GeForce Now.
Yeah, it's built on a bunch of typical tools: React, Electron, TypeScript, etc., and runs on Windows, Mac OS, Linux, blah blah blah. Nintendo's not doing anything to shut it down right now, but if you want to get a client that's a little more performant and a little less spy-y,
no telemetry.
A little more easier to use. No telemetry.
They're not going to like that.
I believe
that's what they may have a problem with.
Brett, I believe you had a Freudian slip because you said Nintendo there.
I did.
No, yes. I think he meant that.
I sure did. Yeah. Nintendo, NVIDIA, it's all these litigious companies.
Nintendo, yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah. So
video.
They've made it a better interface. They've stripped out the telemetry. They've gotten rid of the kicking you off for inactivity. All things that NVIDIA is going to love. Because they really want you tying up that 5090 as you wander off to do something. Like let the dogs in.
Well, NVIDIA hasn't, or NVIDIA, I did it. NVIDIA hasn't done anything about it right now. So, NVIDIA.
We talked about Apple.
I'm not drinking. You're drinking.
I hope you are. I hope Apple gaining market share for the first time in decades, seemingly. Linux gaining market share with gamers, passing 5% user share on Steam.
Interesting. And no Steam machine.
So a lot of handhelds, maybe a lot of just people putting Bazzite on their PC,
Yes. Like and Steam OS and a couple of others. It's become a lot easier to game on Linux.
It's
And
more
it's
than
become a
doubled
lot
since
easier to set yourself
2024.
up. Yeah. So it's easier to
Impressive.
do, and it's easier to set up, and it doesn't bug you the way that Windows does. And some like Bazite, it's like if you horrifically screw up, don't worry, it's an image-based install. You can literally roll back to before you did that horrible thing that you did.
I need to set up a test machine and install Bazite and see what the fuss is all about.
You'll be the third one.
Wait,
Because
not
I've
in the
set one up.
country,
Kent set one up.
in the podcast.
Have you used it much, Kent? The Bazite.
No, and I actually think my image corrupted on the install because every time I've tried to use it, it works fine. And then like every 3 or 4 minutes, it just freezes for 30 seconds and then
that's
works
not good.
fine. So I'm going to reinstall the image at some point when I have time to do anything with my life other than all the miserable stuff that I'm usually doing. On a side note, after in Security Corner, I was looking at property for a deserted island to buy where there's no technology.
Sorry, we're putting a cell phone tower up there, but you can still buy it.
We'll have a 5G balloon over you.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
If you saw the email that went out, you should check the quote because the internet can go straight to hell.
Ray Bradbury is a good man.
Ray Bradbury, that is correct.
Well, was, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh, do you want to talk
One
about
last one.
an upgrade to your racing rig?
So we've been waiting for this for a long time. Last year, Thrustmaster released two pedal sets, Redline 2 and I think the Redline 3. But neither of them had a load cell upgrade. So load cells are nice in that you essentially use muscle memory of how hard you push on something versus position. And apparently in braking, and this is true, it's a big deal. So they're releasing a high quality load cell kit. Now, if you're one of the people who bought the T598 axial direct drive unit, it came with a much smaller 2-pedal kit. And the base plate was really narrow. They had cut costs. But if you only had 2 pedals on that, you couldn't really fit a third. It was just too tight, even though in theory you could. But if you pay the $179, you get a high quality, I think it's a 21-bit load cell encoder, which is extremely accurate for $180. It's a kit that can go up to 100 kilograms. No, it's 24-bit. Sorry. 100 kilograms of pressure, which if, in freedom units, it's 180 pounds, which you got to be pushing pretty good. Most people don't require that. F1 drivers, they have kind of load cell kits in there because it's all drive-by-wire. And, they're also going through like 5 Gs of force and all their weight is going on that pedal. And you don't need 100 kilograms. But it's there if you really want to abuse yourself. 50 kilograms would be probably more than enough to do. But anyway, it's available. It's a high-quality addition. It does help racing. People who have used it so far that I have seen have praised it versus the standard kind of positional sort of load cell, and it's got a stiff spring and an elastomer in there. Sorry, David Schwab said 100 kilograms is 220 pounds. I'm sorry, I missed that whole decimal. I went minus 20 instead of plus 20 times 2. Anyway, regardless, for $180, it's a little expensive, but it's a nice upgrade if you're really into racing, and it's a solid way of upgrading your stuff and getting a better experience. So buyer beware. It would be nice if they did a pre-assembled kit with a load cell for a little bit more expensive, because the Race Lane 3 without load cell is the 3 pedals for about $159. So mix and match, think what you want, but otherwise it's a nice option for people who are really into their racing.
And that concludes Gaming Quick Hits. We got to move on to picks of the week. Josh, totally unrelated to what you were just talking about. Do you have a pick?
Josh is going to rim someone.
He's doing
What?
it again.
No, not rimming. But it is a rim. Moza, I've tried their CS Pro wheel. It's outstanding if you are more into GT racing. And Formula One for your sim, $329. It is a steal for the quality. You get a display on it, lots of LED lighting around, super, super programmable. You can put stickers and things on there. 5 rotary encoders plus 4 more at your thumbs. So brake bias, traction control, differential, and whatever that last one is. ABS. The anti-lock braking system. So those things that you can control through your thumbs. It's got 2 paddle shifters and 2 analog clutches, one left, one right. If you ever have watched F1 racing, you know that their clutches are 2 things. The first clutch hits the brake, the bite point of the clutch, and then they let the second one out. So this is all that stuff on there. Plus, it looks sweet, and only $329. That is a deal. It is less expensive than their previous generation part that looks much the same but doesn't have all the extras. So I don't know how Moses is making any money, because they're offering stuff that's really high quality, got a lot of features at prices that just undercut everybody else. China, I guess.
Very possibly. Thanks, Josh. Jeremy, do you have a pick this week?
Well, I mean, since we're going about rims and wheels and things like that, I went with my purchase today, because hose reels are ridiculously expensive and generally really shoddily built. And I popped by my local discount construction and tool warehouse that has things. You never know what those things are, but they have them. And they did not have a hose reel. But they told me where Lee Valley gets their hose reels from, which is a Green Line, and that he had literally just been there and saw them. And so, hey, if you're buying something for a garden or any sort of tool, maybe don't go to Home Depot, Crappy Tire, Ames, whatever you guys have down south. Find out who the supplier is and walk into the weird warehouse, which is as a counter and wants a part number, and pay half price for what you would normally pay and get a seriously good deal. And garden hoses, reels really do clean up your yard. So, hey.
And plus you can say, roll up that hoser, eh?
Oh, I did roll up the hoser a few times.
Hey.
That was some real talk, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Geddy Lee. Take off.
Brett, take it away.
Yeah, so I picked something that someday I imagine will be useful again. In the far-flung future of PC assembly and PC building and DIY enthusiast space, someday people will be able to afford to get components and build a PC again. Until then, you can buy one of these and put it on the shelf. Hopefully, it'll still fit. This is the Lee & Lee Hydro Shift 360 millimeter AIO in white, which is very fancy nowadays. So $99.99 will get you a Lee with a LCD screen on the pump unit, 360 millimeter AIO. It's actually pretty good
That's cheap.
with fans.
Cheap.
It is with a fancy screen on the pump housing from Woot. Go look.
Well,
But someday you'll be able to use this.
It had to be Woot.
One day.
Yeah.
It's a Brett pick.
One day you'll be able to use this again.
Kent, do you have a pick?
I do. You know, if you happen to be building a new PC by some miracle, or maybe you're just, upgrading an older unit, maybe redoing a cooling loop. Somebody I know might be doing that. Anyway, if you're looking for fans that are good on a radiator but have some lighting, since Lee discontinued their AL120 line, these are the best radiator fans for a PC that is 120 millimeter and has RGB. These are Arctic P12 Pro. You can get a 3-pack for less than $30. They are very high static pressure.
That's inexpensive.
Yeah.
That's
Very high
nice.
static pressure, rubber mounts on the corners, nice large fluid dynamic bearing in the center. Will spin up to 3,000 RPMs if you don't mind going deaf, but even at lower speed, they've still got good static pressure. They'll work great on radiators. And right now, if you want to put lighting on a water-cooled system and you need 120 fans, this is the best thing out there right now, and it's cheaper than everything else, too.
It sounds unbeatable. Noctua hasn't gotten into RGB.
No.
I mean, even Be Quiet
brown.
did. But Noctua? No.
They did black.
Oh, that's right.
Noctua went crazy and did black fans for a bit.
Yes.
Right, but no RGB.
Crazy.
And in my build, all of the current fans are the Fantex T30s, which they don't have lighting either, but man, those are good fans on a radiator. I just on the front panel on this PC, I want to put a little lighting so there's some glow coming through the front, and so I'm going to replace those on that one single radiator with the illuminated Arctic fans.
Awesome. Thank you. And I actually have a pick this week, which is everybody's cue to talk over me for the next 30 seconds. I recently moved, and I didn't want to live this life of being a dog owner, and then that means using baby gates for the next 14 years and tripping over them and stubbing my toe constantly. So I discovered there is such a thing as a no bottom bar gate, which I did not know existed. So you just mount it to the wall on either side, and you just open and close it freely with nothing dragging on the ground and nothing to trip over once the gate is actually open. It's a revelation. And these things actually are quite flexible too, because you just extend them however wide you need them and then tighten the screws down. The one I bought here was up to 55 inches wide. I had a 52-inch hallway opening. Perfectly fits. Opens, closes. So it's a little hard to... The
Prevents
mechanism
that
is
hot
supposed to be...
dog from going down the hallway.
Yes. We're going to move into the
gassing.
outro. That's what the header for this section is. As the soft jazz music begins...
Slowly
And-
permeates.
Yeah, it's all royalty free. YouTube Audio Library Jazz. Don't worry. Nobody paid any licensing fees for the music you're listening to right now. And that's comforting. And so is the podcast. There's something about us just babbling for an hour and a half or so every week that just it gets you right there.
Or somewhere.
Yeah, it gets
That
you
could be
In
indigestion.
the cockles.
right there.
Get you in the cockles, or at least the cockle area.
I'm still reeling that Jeremy had a girlfriend. So
Hey, I was an ex-girlfriend. That implies there was
I'm
more
a
than one.
bastard. I'm a bastard.
And if you don't listen to the live version, you don't even know why we were talking about Jeremy's girlfriend or people trying to suffocate you in the middle of the night because you're snoring.
You know, I bet Jeremy's girlfriend was from Canada. She's just out of the picture.
Who would make you guess that?
Oh, sorry.
When it makes sense to someone.
People don't get that joke. They don't get that.
All right. Time to say goodnight.
Good night,
night.
Gracie.
Good night.